Hey everybody, Winstreak here. Today's question comes from Tyler3327, and they are looking to add a minimap to their game. So without further ado, I got a little platformer game here I've been working on, and we're going to add a minimap to it. So ours is going to be a basic minimap. We're just going to show the whereabouts of everything on the map and show a dot to represent where our character is. To add an interactive one, the first thought that comes to my mind would be to actually add objects for each item that's going to move around, and you'd have to move them the same way we'd be moving the player, or make them disappear if they're collectibles like this cherry is. But ours will get the basis down for you, and you can go from there with how much detail you want to put into it. So I'm going to start out, I'm all the way scrolled out here so I can see the whole thing, and I'm just going to pull up my snippet so I can grab a screenshot of just my minimap, because I want to grab everything here. And then I'm going to open it up and add a new sprite, and you can put it wherever you want, and just paste that in there, and we can enlarge the canvas size, and I'll zoom out a little, and as you can see, I have a very large, well, a smaller than what we're used to size, but it's a fairly large sprite, and it will have just everything on it, and we're actually going to shrink this down because we want it to be smaller than our screen by a decent amount. So I'm just going to do a little chunk up here, and we want it to be about 1/10 of the size. You can do it to any size. It doesn't have to fall under like 1/10 or 1/100th of the size, but obviously the easier the calculation is, the easier it is for you to just do quick math. So if we look at my overall screen size here, I have 1708 and 960, so I'm just going to set this to 1/10 of that. So 1708 would just drop down to 170.8, and then the other one was 960, so they'll just drop down to 96. And now it's nice and small, and it looks super tiny, but if I throw it on there and we hit play, we can see that it's a decent size. So we have that there, and we can hop inside, and you're definitely going to want to remove the things that show us the screen there, as well as remove the player. If you want to remove things you can interact with in the game, you can. Clean it up however you want, and then it's depending on what your background is, it'll be more work editing out what you need to remove. If it is too much work, you might be easier to just build another mini-map using the same techniques you used to build your original map, and just shrink it down smaller. But ours is not too hard, so we can just go ahead and grab some image that's already there and copy paste it and just layer it right on top. And a little time consuming, not that bad, took me about 5 minutes, and then I just threw a black bar around it. And here is my finished product. I did it ahead of time, that way you guys didn't have to wait through it. So I'm going to find my Sprite 2 that I just made and delete it, and we'll work with what I now named Minimap. And one additional thing to note, I took the origin, I just threw it up in 0, 0. That way it's easier to do calculations later, but we'll get into that. And then you're also going to want to add another sprite, and doesn't matter where, and this one is going to be your tracker. So we're going to make it nice and small, 4x4, I mean actually 2x2 would probably be better. It's going to be real small, it's just going to be a little red dot, or however you want to do. You can do a very small image of your person, just shrink it down super small, and this is what's going to show up on the minimap and move around as your character. So I'm going to go ahead and name this as Tracker. And we can hop into our events, and, you know, spoilers, that's the code that I pre-wrote beforehand just to make sure everything worked. And they do, so if you want you can just pause it there and type it all in. But I'm going to go through it anyways. So we'll add an event, and I like every tick. You can do it based on like every 1 or every half a second while a key's pressed down, like, or while your character's moving. If move speed is greater than 0, every half a second update, and they'll give you like the little lag effect where it just kind of bounces over. But my program's not very intense, so I'm just going to do it every tick. We can handle it. And then I'm going to add some local variables. And I want a mini-map position for the x-coordinate. And I'm going to copy paste that. And I also want one for the y-coordinate. So we got mini-map position y. And I'm going to move those below every tick, because we want those reset every tick. Well, actually, we don't care what those values are. We just want them to be there every tick. And then right underneath, we're going to set those values. And we don't want any check here. We're just going to do it no matter what. We're going to set it every time. And up into here, set value. And we want one for the x and one for the y. Let me set that to y. And then I just want my hero's position, which you can see on the side, my hero sprite is named hero. And we want his x position and y position. And that'll give me where it is on the actual map. And then I divided mine by 10, as you saw, so I need to divide it by 10. And this will just make my dot move at 1/10 the amount that my actual character is moving at. And as long as I start with the minimap at 0, 0, it will line up perfectly. And if I don't want my minimap here, if I want to say put it on the top right, all I would do is set it here and find my position. So 683, 0, and that would be the x position. So I would do hero x.10, so our previous equation, and before that I would just add that 683 to it. So that just would make the starting position be right here, and then it would move the dot as mine moved at 1/10 the amount. So you can put this anywhere. I'll just leave it there to show that works. And then last but not least, we have to actually move the sprite. So we will set sprite position. Oops, I want to be on the other side. We need the sub event, and then just set position here. Set position to MMPX, MMPY, and I'll go ahead and show you that this is going to be on, it's on the same layer currently, so we can have this be our little HUD display. And we'll have it follow us around, and that's super easy to do. We're just going to add a layer on top here called layer 1, and we're just going to move this, oops, don't need to right click it, move this up to layer 1, and I want to move this dot here that I made for it up to layer 1 as well. And then I want to set the parallax to 0% by 0%, and that's just stopping it from, ooh, I don't know what I did. Oh, I clicked off it, so my parallax disappeared. Layer 1, alright, parallax 0, 0. So we got it there, and that'll just make it scale at 0% of the rate, which will be 0, so it'll stay there forever. And we can minimize, and we'll move around, and our dot is not showing up. So let me check that out real quick. 63. And my dot is called tracker. I had a dot from the old one called Sprite. So I'm just going to go reset to tracker, which was the dot I made with you guys. And now we can see the dots there, and it follows us around. And like I was saying earlier, we don't have movable graphics for all the things. I can come pick up this cherry, and it stays on the minimap. But you can, again, you can remove those from your minimap and just create small images that show them move. And you would just track him the same way. So when he falls that distance, you would just divide that distance by 10 and have this tiny little image here go down by 1/10 of that size and then slowly climb up with him. So you can edit everything. It's just more work to do the more you want to do. So that's all up to you. Oh, and I just fell off, and my guy doesn't actually die. He just falls forever. But that's about it. Hopefully that's helpful. Let me know in the comments, like, subscribe, all that fun stuff if you enjoyed it. Otherwise, if you hated it, also let me know in the comments, and I'll do better. Have a good one.